Hey y'all, it's me, DaynaLN Knuckles, the People's Oracle, the sidereal astrologer, here with your reading for the full moon and lunar eclipse in sidereal Taurus. We made it, kind of, because we're not really there yet, but we're on our way. We're making it through 2 eclipses across the Taurus-Scorpio axis. There's 3 more eclipses, this one on November 19th in Taurus is a lunar eclipse. Then we have a solar eclipse, which is a new moon in Scorpio, December 4th, and our last one, which is going to be spring 2022. Can y'all believe that we made it to the end of 2021? Technically, again, we haven't made it to the end yet. We're here, we're ending it, we're arriving, it's in process. Of course, you know how we do here. We always started off with the 2021 Sidereal Astrology Guide. We're back in November. I know I didn't bring y'all November horoscopes, but you all are okay with that because y'all know I'm not a machine. And you know, sometimes I need to sit my ass down and take a nap and be a mother. And do things like finish the 2022 Sidereal Astrology Guide. So you guys are okay. Y'all got this. Y'all got your 2021 guides. I see y'all posting the questions. I see y'all reflecting on the Twitter timeline. Y'all got this. Y'all don't need me. I mean, that's really the whole point of this guide, is that you don't need me. The monthly horoscopes are just extra. So anyways, we start off with the guide. We've got our fill in the blank, which is in the back here. And it says, realizing the politics of conforming. Now listen, y'all know I'll be writing these a whole year plus in advance before it actually happens. And I'm just watching the patterns and using my knowledge of astrology plus some, woo-woo stuff. I don't really know how that works, to come up with these fill in the blanks and things like that. So when I was reading this yesterday, thinking about what am I going to talk about in this video? What is this full moon about? I was thinking about the fact that politics has become and been made another commodity in capitalism. Politics is something that we consume through news, through pundits, through media and events, and even, a kind of celebrity where they're not really humans and we don't really treat politicians like they work for us. So in that way, we think of politics as something to consume and something optional, like our choice of toothpaste or where we buy our socks from, right? We don't think of politics as a core fundamental function of how our world works. We think of it as something you buy and sell. I mean, and how can we help it, right? With Citizens United, politicians, policy is something that you buy and sell. But in this, I wrote, realizing the politics of conforming. What do I mean? Politics is ultimately about power. And again, power is something that you consume, something that you buy or sell, something that you decide you don't want any of this week, right? Like, these are maybe conscious or unconscious choices or conversations that we have about politics, but they're actually not an accurate representation of what the heaviness of it really is. So when we talk about the politics of conforming, we have to first, of course, understand politics, which I think I've given a pretty good explanation of. And then we have to talk about conforming, which is one of my keywords for sidereal Taurus. Those of you who are in my Wounds and Gifts workshop, we talked about the wounds, coping strategies, and gifts of every part of our chart. And with Taurus, what we landed on is that being a sign ruled by Venus. The other one is Libra, where we recently had a new moon a couple weeks ago. You can find that reading up on YouTube on my channel. I'll put the link here. But we talked about Venus, and we talked about the wounds, gifts, and coping strategies of Venus. We talked about acceptance and manipulation and approval and all of these ways that we need each other to survive, and all of the ways that that need is manipulated in order to really harness power. Right? So when we're talking about Taurus, the wound of sidereal Taurus is rejection. Oof. I don't want you. I don't like you. I don't like who you are. You're not good enough. You should be this, not that. And because you're that and not this, I'm banishing you from my presence. I'm withholding my approval and acceptance from you. I'm withholding my love for you. I am withholding my positive regard and gaze from you. That is the wound of sidereal Taurus. How does sidereal Taurus survive that? How does sidereal Taurus confront rejection and the lack of approval? Docility. That's the coping strategy of docility. Another way we might actually come to understand docility or being docile is the idea of respectability politics. Respectability politics are the ways that people who do not have political power harness the approval of those who do have political power, but also try to prevent harm via those who have power through their behavior, through their style of dress, through how they wear their hair, right? We call this identity politics, but it's a lot deeper than that. So when we're talking about the politics of conforming, we're talking about the politics of rejection. And what are the consequences of rejection? What are the consequences of being withheld approval? I think it was in my new moon eclipse video for sidereal Taurus earlier this year. I believe it was either that or the one for the full moon eclipse in Scorpio that I did earlier this spring. I'll find it and I'll link it here and in the comments. But I remember in that video talking about how many of our caregivers did not like us. They still don't like us. And we did everything in our power to try to get our caregivers to like us. We think that, and we're often told that being liked and being validated is something that you should not strive for, that you should be okay with people not liking you. You should be okay with being invalidated. You should be okay with rejection. You should be okay with being disliked. You should strive for that. As a matter of fact, everything that you do should disregard the gaze of other people. Don't worry whether people will like you or not. Don't worry whether people accept you or reject you. This is a really insidious way that the cult of individualism has infected and colonized something fundamental to human survival, which is that we need each other to survive. I mean, if my caregiver doesn't like me, they're going to give the physical touch. They're going to give the positive regard. They're going to give the attention. They're going to give all of these things that I need to grow and build a positive self-image to the other kid that they like better. Meanwhile, I'm left being ignored. I'm left being rejected, right? What is the gift of sidereal Taurus? It's approval, and it's self-approval. But self-approval doesn't come because you don't care what other people think. Self-approval comes because you do care what other people think, and you learn to cling to those who offer you the approval you need to survive. We need to be liked and approved of to survive. You want to know the biggest evidence of that? What has capitalism commodified the most? Go look. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. What are they selling? What do they want you to buy? Do you know? Come on, it's right there. What's that little heart under your Instagram post? What's the little heart under your Twitter post? What's the little heart on your TikTok post? That is approval. It's called a like. Capitalism and corporations are so insidious. They see our lip service about you don't need people to like you and accept you, and then turn around and put little hearts under everything just so that we can like and accept. And then they can use those likes and acceptances to sell us things. But that's not self-approval. Self-approval is seeing yourself through the eyes of another, being in the positive regard of another for who you are as a person. Being in that positive regard, stepping into that person's shoes and looking back at yourself and being like, yeah, I like that. I like that. So self-approval is something that comes from being approved of. It's very much a chicken and egg thing, but it feels counterintuitive, but it's the truth, right? We talk about representation. Representation is a kind of approval. It's an acknowledgement that you exist. It's an acknowledgement that you're real and that it's okay that you are who you are. And you being who you are is not going to stop you from realizing your full potential. But when you're not approved of, right, your confidence is sacked. You fold in on yourself. You contort yourself into the shape of those eyes that disapprove of you. You twist yourself up into pretzels trying to get the people who don't approve of you to approve of you. And if you just would change, be this, not that, wear your hair this way, talk with this tone of voice, look this way, smile a little bit more, wear a skirt, not pants, high heels, not sneakers, right? Maybe if you're a little less gay and a little more straight, but you could be gay, just don't kiss in front of me because I don't want to see that. But if you don't kiss in front of me, I'm okay with the gayness. Just don't show me. I don't want to see it. Be black, but don't be too black. Straighten your hair, no afros, no locks. Speak in the king's correct English, not in ebonics. Right? But don't be too white because white don't sell. So you need to be a little bit blacker. Plump up your butt, plump up your lips, darken your skin. You didn't lay in a tanning bed too much. Maybe you laid in it too much. Maybe you got too dark. Maybe you're not dark enough. You should get some whitening cream for that skin because it's a little too dark. And because your skin's too dark, I'm not going to give you a job. I'm afraid of black people. So don't be too black. Don't be too Indian. Your eyes are slits a little bit. So don't be too Chinese. You understand what I'm saying? This is the politics of conforming, right? This is about power. We contort ourselves to be received in the eyes of those who have power in order to survive. I didn't know this was going to get so deep today, but here we are getting deep. I know this is for somebody. It is probably for me. I don't know. We're realizing the politics of conforming at this full moon lunar eclipse in sidereal Taurus. This is the second lunation in a row that is ruled by Venus. I talked about this in the reading for the new moon in sidereal Libra. I talked about Venus and acceptance and all of these things and consensus. And so now we're on the other side of Venus, which is Taurus, and it's all about approval, and it's a fixed sign. So we're talking about identity. And whenever we get to talking about identity, when we're talking about the eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus, you know we are talking about decolonizing the survival instinct. Being liked is a survival need. Your connection to community and access to the resources and people you need to survive are contingent upon you being liked. So what are you doing to be liked? What behaviors are you taking on to be liked and accepted, right? What are the politics of those behaviors and what are you sacrificing in the process? Docility means to conform our responses, behavior, identity, emotional reactions in order to disarm the person who has power over us so that they can accept us. Power is a funny thing because we think of it in terms of race and we think of it in terms of class, and that's important too. But power is also in your home, and it's in your family, and it's in your romantic relationships. Can you take up that space and show up authentically so you can actually be seen by the people who will approve of you as you are? It's a scary risk because you got to be rejected a few times to get to the approval. And the rejection hurts so much you don't ever want to do that again, right? I think this is a really great time for me to pull some tarot cards. What is the wisdom, insight, guidance that can be offered to us at this moment as we approach the full moon in sidereal Taurus, which is also in eclipse? This story is connecting back to spring 2020. Y'all know what spring 2020 was. And if you don't know, you should go read about it, remember, recall. It was so many things, but we were decolonizing the survival instinct then. Woo! That was a full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio that we started with. And now we're here at a full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus with Venus in its retrograde shadow. We talked about that. We talked about connecting with intention, right? And so I think at this full moon lunar eclipse in sidereal Taurus, what that really looks like is understanding the stories that inform how we seek approval and acceptance. What are the stories we're carrying with us about love and about acceptance and being liked, right? How can we move with intention in these spaces? To recognize that you want people to like you. What do you think dating apps are for? Why are you posting pictures? Why are you tweeting? Huh? You want people to like you. Don't lie. Stop playing. You better stop playing with me. You know you want people to like you. There's nothing wrong with that. I want you to like me. I want you to like my video. I want you to comment. I want you to subscribe. I want you to approve of what I'm saying. I want you to think I'm pretty. I want you to think I'm gracious and elegant. I want you to think my words sound good. Why do you think I'm doing this video? I want you to like me. Don't you want people to like you too? Huh? It's okay. It's great. Being liked feels so good. That's why people be hiding behind the parts of themselves that people do like. And they hide all those parts they don't want people to see because they don't want to be rejected. You want people to like you, right? You can say it. It's okay. I won't tell nobody if you're not ready to really talk about it, okay? It's okay. We can talk about it another time. But let's see what these cards gonna say. Ooh. I always get excited about the cards, so I don't know what they're gonna be. It's like I shuffled and I don't know. Aren't you excited? Okay. What have we got? The Six of Pentacles. Ooh. Six of Pentacles. This is a really interesting card because it really shows, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of dark, but in this image, there is a woman with bare breast, a yellow garment, some bronze jewelry around a bald head and neck, and then there's a man kneeled on the floor with these jeweled kind of coins around them. And this is really such a dynamic of power, right? It's sharing, it's being owed. There's a sense of entitlement here in the Six of Pentacles, but it's really about the power of sharing and resources, being owed. Who owes who, right? Does somebody owe you something? Somebody owe you some money? But being owed, having a right to something, right? In a way that has material consequences. You know, when I'm thinking about this Six of Pentacles, it's bringing up all of these things about how survival is meant to be a shared burden and not an individual obligation. And that part of survival is being accepted so that we can have positive self-regard, right? Positive self-regard comes from being regarded positively by others, right? And so that's a survival need too. I think there's something in the Six of Pentacles about the discomfort of the power dynamic of someone having so much power over us simply by looking in our direction or avoiding us, simply by giving us attention and approval or rejection. It's really uncomfortable. And I think it's why people don't want to talk about how much we really do want to be liked by other people. It's why we spend so much time writing Instagram posts and memes on Facebook and Twitter that talk about don't do it for the gram and don't do it for the approval and don't do it for an audience. No, I'm doing it for the audience. I want you to like me. I want you to approve of me. Social capital, social currency is just as value as them dollars with them damn white people on it. Right? As a matter of fact, social capital can get you some things that them dollars can't. Right? People who be having a whole bunch of money, don't nobody like them, and they still find themselves miserable. Right? And then all of the things that they've had to do to be liked means that no one really knows them and no one really likes them. They just know their representative. Do you have a representative? I have a representative. My representative is elegant. My representative is composed. It does not matter what is going on beneath the surface. I could be having the biggest panic attack and being most agitated. You know what? In that last video I did, I talked about this in therapy. In that last video I did, the new moon in sidereal Libra, I was having a panic attack the whole time. And then when I went back and watched the video, I was like, I know I'm gonna be a mess in this video. And then I went back and looked and you couldn't tell. And that was really creepy. I talked about that in therapy though. We're gonna talk about it again next week. But my whole point being that you like my representative, but do you really know me? Do you have a representative? Do you use your representative to gain social currency? That's cool. I like it. I use mine too. It's called the People's Oracle. She's here speaking to you today, right? But who knows the you that's behind the facade? For me, it's who's behind the composed, articulate, well-dressed and put together, manicured person, is that person approved of? Has that person been seen in the positive regard of another? How am I confronting the power dynamic of wanting so much to be liked and accepted? Who do I feel I am owed that by? And what am I willing to do to get it? You. Who do you want to be in the positive regard of? Right? What are you willing to do to get that? We've got the Emperor. That's not even really bad though. I don't even know. Is it? I don't know, y'all. I want to have positive feelings about the Emperor because the Emperor gets the job done. The Emperor is organized on top of it. They harness their power. Maybe that's really part of it. You know, I talked about, what did I say it was? Realizing the politics of conforming. You know, I talked about politics as being about power and, you know, respectability politics in particular being about being in the positive regard of those who have power in order to disarm them from harming you, but also to be received and realize the benefits of being in the good graces of those who have power, right? Maybe the Emperor is talking to us about the power that we have. Maybe the Emperor is a suggestion. The Emperor is an admonishment to, kind of similarly going back to that reading, I think it was the full moon in sidereal Aries, harnessing power, right? Recognizing your own strength. I think the Emperor is a message to us to not be passive, right? To, not sit back and wait for someone to, you know, please like me. Why don't you like me? Please give me your likes. Please, I do not have enough likes. Give me more. Right? There's a subservience to that that often makes us docile. It makes us hide our true emotions. It makes us want to conceal the truth of who we are. And I think there's something about the Emperor here that's really about like, sis, bruh, gentle day, get up off your knees and stop begging. Get out of the pretzel tied up, contorted shapes that you've put yourself in because you perceive someone to have power to accept you or reject you. And I think in that process of seeking acceptance, we lose sight of those who actually do accept us. And by being stuck in a docile posture of conforming and concealing our identities, we actually strip from others the capacity to really see and know us and to approve of us, right? Flaws and all, scars and all, but also identities and all, sexual identities, racial identities, class. There was a tweet going around previously about weird things that wealthy people have said in order to relate to people who aren't wealthy, and the kind of the emperor has no clothes kind of thing that happens when a wealthy person tries to relate to someone who does not have that kind of material wealth, and the humiliation that occurs when a person who has experienced poverty finds themselves in the company of those who have access. And it actually ends up being the wealthy people trying to relate to the unwealthy people rather than the unwealthy people trying to relate to the wealthy people. It's a really, really odd and strange thing, but it's this way of, I'm not really as different as I look. Don't you see? I'm just like you. And because I'm just like you, I can conceal the inequity and I can conceal the real nature of the violence of this inequity. And you can see me as one of you, and you can give me more power because, see, I'm just like you. I'm not any different. Ooh, the emperor says, boss up. The emperor says, you need to see clearly these dynamics of power in your relationships and encounters. You need to realize the politics of conforming are about power. Conforming is about those who don't have power trying to be in the positive regard of those who do, but also those who do have power trying to be in the positive regard of those who don't. Because if I do not see you who has power over me in positive regard, and a bunch of us get together and decide we don't like you, we're going to strip you of power. So much of the politics of conforming is about performing. It is about putting on a facade and concealing the real harm of these power dynamics, right? But at this full moon lunar eclipse in sidereal Taurus, it is also about showing yourself, seeing yourself, showing yourself, seeing yourself. This is a dance. Showing yourself and being seen. Taking an opportunity to look at yourself through the eyes of those who you wish to be seen by. Absorbing that positive regarding and allowing it to become a part of your own self-concept and self-image. There are those of us who have that arrogance and hubris, and there's no negative thing that anybody could ever say to us that could break our confidence or make us believe that we're anything that we're not. And then there are those of us who are fragile and never want to conceive of ourselves as any bigger, badder, better, more beautiful, smarter, more intelligent than we actually are. And so we're very self-conscious and trying to realize the true nature of who we are, being very careful not to think too highly of ourselves, right? If you fall into either one of those categories, this full moon lunar eclipse and this reading is for you. Fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, are about authenticity. That's the gift of fixed signs. Authenticity cannot come behind the veneer of docility. At some point, you've got to get up off your knees. Get level, eye to eye. There's a, oh man, this is making me think of the I Ching, which I've been studying for a few years now, and I feel like I'm finally getting a good grasp. But there's a hexagram 47, and there's a couple of lines in that hexagram that talk about red sashes, like these officials with these red knee thingies or whatever it is. And it's about people who are self-important and who have this power over us, maybe in a specific sphere, but oftentimes we overinflate the power that they have over us into different spheres of our lives. And we find ourselves still conforming to their gaze, even when we are not even in their sphere of power. Are you still conforming to the gaze of your parents, even though you're not in their sphere of power anymore? Are those the officials that you've given authority to that you're still kneeling before? Are you still in this kneeling posture in front of every person that you encounter, imagining that they are the gaze of your parents, consciously or unconsciously? Are you stuck in this kneeling posture like in the Six of Pentacles here, right? Are you giving them undue power and influence over yourself and your life? Listen, you're not there anymore. And if you walk up to everybody on your knees, they're going to treat you like you're less than, subservient. Docile. Get up off your knees. You see this emperor? Come on. Get up off your knees. Stand up. Look level, eye to eye. See yourself as an equal. Your class, your economic station, your race, your sexual identity, your gender expression, these are not ever reasons for you to be on your knees. Your dignity and self-respect as a human is not tied up into any of those things. How can you harness the confidence to be seen so that you can actually receive the approval that you seek? You just got some divination for liberation from me, the People's Oracle, the sidereal astrologer for this full moon lunar eclipse in sidereal Taurus. If you like this video, if you approve of me, if you approve of what I said, and you want other people to see this thing that you like, then you should like this video and you should share it, because I want other people to see it. I think this is important. If you agree with me, then share this and like this video. And if you would like to see some more of this stuff, thinking maybe you might like what I make in the future too, you should subscribe to my channel, all right? I appreciate y'all. Y'all take care of yourself. Get up off your knees. You got this.